Yeah, I'm good.
All right, cool. And how's it going, everybody? So I am joined here with my friend, Some Dumb American,
Hey guys, what's up?
and it's early in the morning, and Gazi Kodzo just came out with another magnum opus of a video. Oh my god.
As usual.
As usual. So, I'm like right in the middle of making a pseudoscience video, and this happens, and I'm like, shit, I gotta pick on Black Hitler a little bit. So we figured we'd just stream and we'll watch this video, so you guys don't have to. And yeah, I think it should be pretty fun. I don't think we don't really need to recap on what happened. Everybody on the goddamn planet knows about the kidnapping and thing, right?
Yeah, everybody knows what happened
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah, no, it's kind of a moot point. But yeah, this is Black Hitler, aka Gazi Kodzo, and his white slave talking about it.
I always want to make a video about Black Hitler, but it's just like, how do you even respond to it, like, properly?
Oh,
You know? Like, other than just look. What are you supposed to say?
I don't know. I don't know what you can say. I mean, Gazi embodies all of the worst traits of somebody who is an overt racist.
Exactly.
You
Yeah.
know? And
So there's nothing you can do.
all you can do is just showcase it for the absolute fucking lunacy that it is. And you know, since I first was acquainted with him, I've been looking into like the hrough solidarity movement and that kind of shit. And their leader, what's his name, Wakazashi cough syrup. What's his name? Shit, I might get some hate mail for that one. Whatever his name is.
Not sure what his name is.
And it's just for the most part, like I think Gazi might actually be the worst out of all of them. I've never seen any other people making YouTube videos about the hrough solidarity movement. So I think it's probably isolated to a really small regional thing.
Probably, yeah. But I don't think is it a he? That's
Who?
the other thing I always get confused on. Gazi.
Gazi's a man. Yeah, Gazi's a
Okay.
man. He claims to be straight. Which, you know, I'm not trying to like get in any kind of shit like that, but Gazi sends some very, very strange, confusing signals sometimes. And,
Yeah.
if you're not familiar with Gazi Kodzo, you'll see what I mean in a minute, and why
He's
people
known
call
as
him Ruby
Black
Rod.
Hitler. Yeah.
Yeah, the Ruby Rod of racism. Shit, I'm ready. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm all good. Let's do this.
All right. I hope everybody out there is ready. Let's fucking do this.
Ready? Set. Agave, y'all.
Agave, y'all.
Agave, y'all.
My name is Gazi Kodzo, and I am a leader in the African People's Socialist Party. And this over here, this male assassin, toilet seat complexion individual, is actually my
Toilet seat complexion individual. I fucking
Okay,
love it.
okay. Can you imagine hanging out with somebody who describes you as a toilet seat complexioned individual?
Oh yeah, and he looks completely fine with it too.
Right.
Completely
I
fine
mean,
with it.
imagine if you called any one of your black friends like poop complexioned individuals.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, why would anybody stand to be treated that way? I
This-
can't.
My hot chocolate complexion individual.
Right.
You know. Although that's a lot more. That's a lot less insulting as toilet
Yeah, that's
seat.
okay. I wouldn't mind being called hot chocolate complexion, but like toilet seat? What about like snow? Something nice, but
Yeah.
it's clearly meant as an insult. So
He's your friend. Why are you
Right.
calling him toilet seat? Oh my god.
I know.
comrade. Oh my God, thanks, right? He's my comrade, and his name is,
Jesse,
and he is
National Chair of hrough Solidarity Movement.
a hrough. So,
Okay, can we just
Jesse,
pause
have
it
you
for a
heard-
second?
Yeah.
Okay. Whenever you see white people in Ghazi's videos, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's always pointing to them when they're allowed to speak.
Yeah, I've noticed
Like,
that.
he's always telling them, okay, now you can talk.
Yeah.
And then it's like, all right, stop. Okay, now you can talk. Okay, now I'm going to tell you exactly when you can speak. And then it's like, it's amazing
For
that somebody would let themselves be treated that way.
for years, people have thought that Gazi is just like the world's biggest Poe. He's
I
just
hope so.
He's not. I genuinely don't think he is. I am convinced at this point that he is 100% legit and convinced of everything he talks about.
I don't think you could keep this up for this long.
Right.
Honestly. So, and he's too consistent for it to be fake.
Yeah, he's consistently terrible.
Yeah.
Some of my people kidnapped one of your people, put him in a tub and beat him up a little bit. You know, they scraped him up a little bit. Him, went on live stream and stuff about it. Have you heard about it?
I did. I heard about it.
Crazy, right? But actually, it's not so crazy since, your people built an entire capitalist, imperialist society on top of my people. You want to talk about kidnapping and torture. Can we talk about the almost 700 years of kidnapping and torture of African people? The reason why I'm here speaking English in this fluent white girl tongue right now, okay?
I'm gonna need cringe breaks every now, because we already both watched this all the way through once, didn't you? Watch everything.
I did. I suffered through 16 minutes of this, and then I was like, somebody else needs to see it, so I tweeted it out. Yeah. And oh gosh.
So we're double torturing ourselves for you guys. And
it's so bad.
So you can take breaks with us, and you don't have to give Gazi any more views. So that's also a plus too. Oh my God.
But it's oof. I can't.
Yeah, I have to wonder too if Jesse's ancestors legitimately owned slaves, because I don't know about you, but my ancestors never owned slaves.
Well, it depends on what side of the family you're talking about. So, on my dad's side, there are definitively people that we can say owned a couple slaves.
Oh.
On my mom's side, she's Italian. They got here by Ellis Island in the 20s. So it really depends on the side of my family, and we don't actually know how much of my family has owned slaves, but you can actually trace my dad's ancestry all the way back to England in 1595.
Oh.
So
by Gazi's logic, then your reparations would only be half price, right?
I hope so.
Okay.
I personally don't have any money.
Right.
Is because my people, was kidnapped and tortured and was put into this system, okay? So if you want to talk about kidnapping and torture, then you need to talk about what built the United States of America, which was kidnapping and torturing, okay? And the torturing that goes on right now in America. When we have to watch television and see our children being murdered in the streets, being murdered in the playgrounds, being murdered in...
Jesus Christ.
I know. So when she says, I don't mean to sound crazy or insensitive, but a tortured, injured slave wouldn't be that useful. Not saying it didn't happen.
Oh, I mean, we know it happened we know it happened in specific instances, but it was as a punishment for trying to run away, or yada yada yada. I mean,
I'm not saying slavery was like a picnic, but
no, of course not. No. I think the systematic torture of black slaves would probably only be done either as a punishment or by somebody who could afford to this is gonna sound so fucked up, but
to just willy-nilly beat slaves, because slaves were expensive, and it's kind of bizarre to do this, but if you really want to understand slavery, you sort of have to think about it the way that the people at the time would have thought about it.
Right.
And it would be like having machinery.
Yeah.
That's how they thought about it. So
which is fucked up, but I mean, that is how they would have thought about it. Yeah.
But you wouldn't just damage your machinery that you needed to make money for no reason.
Right.
Like I said, it's fucked as all hell. And it's really awful to think about it that way. But one of my history teachers, a really good history teacher, my first semester of college, he had us really think about all those things that way. How would these people have lived their lives and thought about all this stuff? And it was really fascinating. But it's awful.
Only the most specifically sadistic kind of people would be at that significantly barbaric, you know. But I don't know. It's so strange. But with Gazi, everything has to be like, would hyperbole be the right word?
Yeah, because if you were to take I know there's a couple of fucking neo-Nazis who are horrible people, but if you were to take a normal person from this era, they would defend the slaves and black people who were being tortured and killed and lynched.
Right. You know? There was that whole war that was fought over it too.
Right. Any one of us would.
Right.
You know?
Absolutely.
And even being in the South, like we were taught growing up, because we spent a lot of time on the Civil War, you know, slavery happened and you can't run from your history. And in the South, we have that history. And we have to talk about it and own up to it.
This is going to sound a little weird, but as I've gotten further, well, I've been looking into this shit forever, but with the rise of some nationalistic attitudes, I've even more started researching into white nationalist groups, and I have only found, out of the probably 20 or so organizations of white nationalists that I've looked into, I've only found one that actually legitimately approved of slavery. All the rest of them very distinctly say that they don't believe in slavery. They don't believe in the mistreatment of people who are black. Even like white nationalist parties, most of them are like, no, we don't want to hurt black people. We don't hate black people. We just don't want to breed with them. And like, that's fucked up enough as it is. That is fucked up. But you know, like that sort of attitude just is really not as prevalent as a lot of people think it is.
You know, and I hope this Black Lives Matter stuff dies out, hopefully quickly. I don't know if it will, because I don't want to see white nationalism come up, because when you really think about it, anybody who's born and raised in America could technically be described as the same ethnicity, because ethnicity has a lot to do with your culture and where you're born, as well as, you know, your history. So if you've been in America for 3 or 4 generations, you know, ethnically you could be described as American.
Oh, sure.
And I think we could really I think if we started thinking about it that way, I think it could help, because, you know, it doesn't have your opinions and your political leanings have nothing to do with your race.
Right. No, absolutely. I also think it's kind of important to mention too that, you know, with this incident happening, I can see a silver lining coming out of it, which is people who do believe in the sentiment of Black Lives Matter not tolerating people race baiting using that moniker as much.
Yeah.
Because, like, I don't give a shit if people say Black Lives Matter, if you want to organize a Black Lives Matter protest, as long as you're not getting insane about it and you're talking about racial superiority or you're advocating violence, which a lot of them have done in the past. And that's why some people do draw those correlations. They want to pin a type of responsibility on BLM for the kidnapping. If this promotes people to still use the hashtag and the sentiment, but instead start policing, like, hey, actually, no, don't say that shit, that's bad, that makes more strife, then, you know, maybe there's a silver lining in all this.
Yeah, hopefully, because while they weren't directly connected to Black Lives Matter, I would hope that anybody who does support Black Lives Matter, you know, takes this and understands why people automatically were just like, oh, clearly this is Black Lives Matter, because this is the exact same rhetoric that we keep seeing.
I have seen more notable black leaders who in the past, like, brush off the type of thing before in the past, who are very vocal now. Jesse Jackson, Al Sharpton, all of them coming out and being like, this is fucked up. This is, you know, a racialized hate crime. This is fucked up. This is not what we're supposed to be about. So I hate to say it, but sometimes the worst situation can actually bring about some of the best, you know, consequences in the end. So I'm hopeful.
Yeah, and it's great that they're finally understanding why people automatically associated them with Black Lives Matter. And I think it's really good that they're acknowledging that, and that they are saying this is fucked up, because we can all, anybody who has a good head on their shoulders can agree that this is just fucked up. It's a horrible situation.
Right.
So
although I do have
I'm
to
glad.
say, the hashtag did piss me off, though, because I like people being fucking accurate, you know? And,
yeah, no, I totally understand that.
Yeah, like... all right.
beds, getting their water poisoned, having their daddies and mommies pushed into these mass incarceration prisons, which is just, slavery 2.0. That's torture, okay? When you push a people and you take our resources away, our gold, our minerals, our diamonds, our land away, and then force us to be, submissive to you just to get a welfare motherfucking check, okay? That is torture. Okay. When we have to fight.
There's a lot in that.
Who has to be submissive to get a welfare check? What the fuck?
I don't know. I mean, like, mass incarceration, I get it. The breakdown of the black family, I get it. But, I mean, but at the same time, what land and what resources?
Right.
At this point.
Right. And, I mean, like, what if he's talking about trying to take land and resources, that doesn't really hold a whole lot of water, because the West African slave trade was the largest number of enslavers over in West Africa were other West Africans. They sold the slaves to merchants that then brought them over. Obviously, those slaves did not have land or resources to begin with.
Right.
Like, I don't know.
Well, I think what people, maybe this is just because we don't do enough world history in school or something, but I think people need to understand that the reality of empires and the reality of building the things that we built before the Industrial Revolution is that you need slaves to do it.
Yeah, conquering was the way to nation build.
I think part of the reason why we don't have slavery today is because of the Industrial Revolution.
Yeah.
Because we can have machines do our labor instead of other people.
And I mean, like, the notion of everyone being equal is not necessarily like a revolutionary concept. It's not even a new concept. No. Like, as much as people like to, as much as, the Middle East might be a fucking hellhole right now, some of the earliest signs of like religious and ethnic tolerance come out of like when Muslims took over Syria. And there was, it was the Eastern Orthodox Church of Christians, and in an amazing sign of compassion, like, the Muslims basically protected, the ruling class Muslims protected the ethnic Christians, and allowed them to flourish there for the longest time. So, like, equality is not necessarily a brand new concept. It's just a nuanced concept that happens. And I think the Industrial Revolution is a good example of this. When you have prosperity, and you don't necessarily have to be struggling as much, the notions of freedom, the notions of equality for people become more tenable, and people naturally gravitate towards it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Amongst each other just to live. When we have to rob each other just to live, just to eat, that's what you call torture. Okay, so this whole moral equivalency that the colonial media, when I say colonial media, I mean cracker media, white media, white power media, capitalist media. That's what we're talking about, right? And people, why?
It's just okay. And now you, God,
media. Oh my God.
She might as well, or he, sorry, he might as. I can't tell. It's like, this. I think this is what Milo Stewart is going for, like, this level of ambiguity. It's just like, you might as, like, why not just slap a collar on him and, like, dangle a carrot in front of his face?
Right. Even Milo Stewart denounced fucking Gazi Kodzo.
Oh, really?
Yeah. When when Milo had the video, and it was like, these are not my own ideas, these are from these two lovely YouTubers, and it was
right,
Sensi and Gazi. Now there is a what's it called? Annotation. There's an annotation on the video that's like, I did not know how terrible this person was before I said that, so Sensi is still okay, but Gazi is bad.
I mean, Sensi's not great by any stretch of the imagination, so.
Morning, baby.
Morning.
Oh. Quick wife break. All right. Let's go.
Why am why is the colonized people and the colonizer people not equal in this situation? Because what they're trying to depict is these 4 African teenagers are just bad, horrible people, and this innocent white man. There's no such thing as an innocent white man. Jesse, can you tell that to the people?
Yes, I mean, every dream and aspiration of every white person comes at the expense of every African person.
Okay, excuse me. Every dream and aspiration of every white person. My desire to make a bundle of sexy naked bodies and climb fuck mountain does not rely on the suffering of African peoples. I'm sorry. But I'm a simple man.
What?
Just let it wash over you. Just let it wash over you.
What? I don't even know what to say. Like, because by their logic, and this is what always baffles me, you know, people like Beyonce, Oprah, you know, Jay-Z, they're all oppressed. Somehow, you know, we are more privileged than those people.
Right.
And it also reminds me of that guy who did that. I forget what his name is. Trevor? Is his name Trevor?
Which
one? The really rich black guy with like 3 million subscribers.
Oh, Trey Melvin.
Trey Melvin. There you go.
Yeah.
It reminds me of him. He's like, oh, just because I make millions of dollars, you think that I am more privileged than a homeless white guy?
Yes, I do.
Like, he actually went there. I was like yes, yeah, actually, you are. It's just a homeless white guy. What?
Oh my god, it's so beautiful. It's like poetry in motion.
We are a colonizer population. We live on the backs of African people. So when an African person whose backs we sit on rises up and tries to push us off, that is not the same. You cannot judge that with the same moral compass as you would the behavior of the one who's been lynching and murdering and raping African people for hundreds of years.
Okay, ding. I need a minute to just... So he is this white toilet seat complexioned individual is literally justifying this kidnap and torture of a mentally handicapped white man.
Right.
Because you can't judge black people. This is the thing that drives me absolutely up a fucking wall. You can't judge black people with the same moral compass. Wait, what are black people? Are they babies? Or are they not equal? Are you saying that we can't... It's sort of like voter ID, right? Like, black people can't go to the DMV and get a driver's license. What are you, crazy? It's like, what do you think of black people? Do you think that they are somehow mentally inferior to you, that they can't have things like morals and they can't think hard enough to go get a driver's license? Are you kidding me?
Oh my god. And you know what's okay, hang on. Let me pull it back just 8 seconds, because he said, like, there's all this stuff that's in this video, and like I start to think about it, and then like as my brain tries to process it, everything turns into clown music, and I can't fucking focus. It does. I'm like, well, okay, let's try and analyze this to...
Right.
Oh, God.
There's just no logical way to go about it, because it's just that stupid.
Oh, my God.
Not the same. You cannot judge that with the same moral compass as you would the behavior of the one who's been lynching and murdering and raping African people for hundreds of years.
For hundreds of years. Who has ever lived for hundreds of years, first of all?
Have you read the Bible? Duh.
Jesus. What's his name? Nebuchadnezzar?
Maybe.
Was it Nebuchadnezzar?
Well, isn't it? It's like everybody but pre-flood and pre-flood times lived.
So somewhere out there is this shadow cabal of white people who've lived for hundreds of years and owned a bunch of slaves, and they've been running this secret conspiracy to abuse and torture black people and keep them oppressed. I mean, you know,
right? Who is this we that Gazi is referring to?
I know. Gazi, like, look at that face. That is a face of somebody who firmly believes that he has the right to speak for every black American. Every black.
I love your pause game though. Look at that.
I know. I know.
Mm.
That is a truly intimidating face. Jesus Christ. Oh,
just like the smugness, like yes, toilet seat complexion person. You tell him.
Yeah. You tell him, porch cracker.
I know.
Should he be okay? So for the chat, we need a good name for Jesse. I'm thinking porch cracker is pretty good. But there's got to be a better way, a much better one. So tell me your best ones in the chat while we're watching.
Exactly, Jesse. Exactly. And then this whole depiction of, but he was mentally ill. He was mentally ill. Colonizers can be mentally ill, and you're still a freaking colonizer. And I don't really...
He was disabled, not ill.
Oh, yeah.
Jesus I mean, I'm not, like, they're both horrible situations, but they're two different things. I mean, someone who's depressed or something can still function normally and can still have a semi-normal life, whereas somebody who's mentally disabled and really doesn't have the mental wherewithal to fight back, two different situations.
Right. Oh, man, we're getting good ones. There's Porch Honky, oh god, there was a really good one up here. Oh my god, you guys are just spamming with so many good ones. Holy shit. Toilet Boy. I'm not calling him White Coon. I hate saying the word coon just in general. Porch Cucker. Porch Cucker.
I like that.
Oh my god, that's a pretty good one. I like Toilet Boy, Porch Cucker, Snow Coon. Oh my god, that's so good. But I don't want.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, it is good though.
That is really good.
People keep calling him Sargon, and now I see it. I didn't see it before.
This is so simple. Housecracker.
Yeah.
Housecracker. I like.
Oh, Uncle Tim. Somebody said Uncle Tim.
Uncle Tim. I don't know. He looks a little bit even whiter than a Tim. Maybe Uncle Todd. I don't know. All right.
Take mental illness or disabilities of white people very seriously, because white people, they sneeze twice and all of a sudden they mentally ill and they got prescription drugs and shit, and they on Jenny Craig and Oprah and shit talking about what they survived and shit. So I don't even believe that. If you want to talk about mental illness, talk about African people who don't know where we come from, don't know our land, don't know our language, don't have access to our own resources. Talk about that, okay? No one on this planet is more mentally abused than African colonized people who are on the bottom of the pedestal of this entire thing you call capitalism, this entire thing that you call...
the tens, if not hundreds of thousands of human trafficked Mongolians captured on the border of China and sold into sex slavery might fucking disagree with you, you fucking privileged cunt. Oh my god. The fucking families of the surviving families of the Syrian fucking civil war watching their little children getting blown up by bombs might disagree with you, Gazi.
Oh, this is...
Oh my god.
Ooh. OMG. Okay.
Anybody in Burma. Just Burma. Ugh.
It's too much.
Yeah. It's amazing.
This is why you can't make a serious response video to this person, because what do you say to that other than no?
Yeah. No, you're actually very wrong. You're very wrong.
Yeah, other than just
Gazi is a perfect example of weaponized oppression.
Yeah.
The white nations, what gives wealth to Europe, what gives wealth to Australia, Canada, and America. Okay, you want to talk about mental illness, then let's talk about that. Because white people don't have mental illness when it comes compared to an African. Oof. When it comes compared to an African who has to live a submissive, subhuman life to white imperialism every freaking day. When we can't even walk down these streets without thinking, is everything in place before I get stopped by a police officer? When we see lights or hear sirens or anything, our heart races, our heart stops. This is why we have high blood pressure. This is why we have so many mental illnesses in the African community, okay? Can you talk something about this mental illness shit with white...
All right. Before Housecracker gets back into it, I really do like to, even though I'm not currently in college, I'm taking a break until the kiddo is ready for kindergarten. I do stay current on psychology, on neuroscience, on fascinating things in the brain, and I've always been really fascinated with group psychology. And, you know, if you do have a culture that promotes that there's a reason to be afraid often enough, then it's kind of like an automatic thing for some people to be under the impression that there is a legitimate threat to their well-being, you know, the maintaining of their safety and their integrity. So I do have compassion when people say, like, when black people say, like, I get nervous whenever, you know, I hear sirens or I have to deal with a cop. Like, I understand that. Whether it is statistically legitimate or not, or the area in which you're at has a historical connection to police having lethal responses to people or not, I don't discredit the emotional context. I understand that can happen. But taking it to such an amazing histrionic degree to then excuse, like, the abuse of somebody who is mentally handicapped is just so fucked up. It's incredible. Yeah, no,
it is. And just, you know, it shows that these people just don't want equality. And that they
Gazi doesn't know.
Right, of course not. But I don't know if you saw the video yet that T put out.
That guy T?
Yeah.
Did he put it out this morning?
Yeah, he put it out this morning.
I haven't seen it yet.
And he was talking about his experience growing up in a black community where you're pretty much fed that white people are trying to keep you down and that kind of stuff. Like, even though he said he had never seen a white guy before, or not seen a white person, but really gotten really gotten to know white people that well. Mm-hmm. And that a lot of people have that mentality. And it's something that I see echoed at my college, because I go to a college that has a ton of black people there.
Sure.
And, you know, they go into sociology courses and stuff like that with that mindset. And then it only gets reaffirmed by people who they see as authority figures. You know, even though they're sitting next to me in a classroom, you know, they still feel like they're somehow disadvantaged, or somehow we're on an unequal playing field.
Compared to you?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even if you're sitting, like, literally shoulder to shoulder. And that's right. Part and parcel with just, like, you know, how are you raised? A really good example of that I think is really interesting is the third Die Hard movie, Die Hard with a Vengeance, where Samuel L. Jackson's character Zeus, he owns I think it's like an electronics repair shop or something. Two black kids come in trying to sell him like a stereo or something, and he basically has them repeat a mantra of, like, who do we not trust? White people. Who do we believe in? Ourselves. Who do we not want to fucking help us? White people. And it's like, well, you know, I can understand that mentality, especially at that point, because I remember the cultural setting around the time that happened. And it's interesting that it kind of drifts back. But Gazi takes it even further. Gazi doesn't want equality. Gazi wants punishment.
Right.
It's punishment not even. He doesn't want reparations to make things even. He wants reparations for punishment.
Right, and punishment to people who not only had nothing to do with it, but people who would defend the hell out of you.
Yeah.
If somebody were to try to start enslaving people.
Right.
So.
All right, let's hear what Housecracker has to say. Uh-oh. What are you doing, Rabbit? Rabbit. I saw it said something like reconnecting. I might have to reload it. Hang on. Rabbit Cast Launcher. Gazi Kodzo. We're at 4 minutes and 23 seconds. Oh, you son of a bitch! Oh my god, hang on. Doop doop doop. Oh, sweet. Okay. Are you gonna work now? Ain't gonna work. Yeah.
I mean, if there are mentally challenged or disabled white people who are getting fucked over on this pedestal of the oppression of African people, it's not African teenagers that are responsible for that. It's this system. It's capitalism. It's colonialism. The same parasitic, vicious, violent, blood-sucking, dehumanizing system that has been causing death.
Look at his eyes. He is so happy. Jesse is legitimately happy to being able to make this point.
Yeah, and look at Gazi. He's like, bitch, you better not fuck it up.
Right.
Right?
It's so crazy.
Like, it is so bizarre.
Like, it feels so bizarre. It feels like these guys were just waiting for something like this to happen so they could be like, actually, this is because of society. So, fuck you. Like, they were, like, they seemed so excited to be talking about this. I cannot believe those smiling eyes on Housecracker right now.
Yeah. And it's...
what a way to wake up in the morning. Jesus.
Death and destruction for the majority of the people on the planet. That's what, as an offshoot of that, white mentally challenged people and disabled people will have no social institutions that are there to protect them or to, assist them in their well-being. So the responsibility is to be put at the foot of the U.S. government. If you're pissed off about any of what happened in that video, you should not point the finger at poor, powerless, impoverished, terrorized African teenagers.
Oh my God. Okay. No. Poor, powerless, terrorized African teenagers. That's even worse than, I know that Don Lemon said, oh, well, they're not evil, which is enough. That's bad enough. But to say that they're powerless, they had enough power to kidnap a guy and torture him for 24 to 48 hours.
Oh, but that's a revolutionary act, don't you know? Maybe this is a good time to bring up, so there's been a lot of different responses to this whole thing, and I mentioned previously, like, a lot of black social leaders have come out and condemned the action, and it's great. Pretty much everybody on the planet except for these two chuckle fucks thinks this is a horrible thing that fucking happened. But Montel Williams had a really interesting statement, and I wanted to share it. For those who don't, I don't know if there's a way I can like move it so it looks better without screwing this up. Shit, I guess there is. Hang on, let me scoot it over here. Montel Williams was a talk show host. He's also a former Navy and former U.S. Marine Corps veteran. Life in prison, no parole. I'm not interested in whether these kids had a tough life, whether their parents loved them enough. I don't care. Whether this is a hate crime is a distraction and irrelevant. This is cold-blooded torture of an innocent human being. That's bigger than a hate crime. It's bigger than racism. Saying fuck white people is racist by definition. It's bigger than politics. Life in prison, no parole. If you do this to another human being once, you can't be trusted to not do it again. My prayers go out to the young man in this disgusting video. Now, I think that's really interesting because, and this is why. So, central to this whole thing happening has been the racialized component. And I do think it's something really important to talk about because that is pretty much one of the most common things that we're talking about today. But I like Montel's take on it simply because he's consolidating it down to some people taking power over another person and torturing him. And right. I feel like, I do think it's important that we talk about the racial component, and it's insanely important because we have to protect against people like fucking Gazi and like fucking white nationalists who will use this to politicize it. But too often, we get so mired in this conversation of race that we forget that this is a direct inhuman act. Like, if you strip away all the rest of the components, this is a horrifying act.
I don't know if you saw the statements of the judge or you heard about this because I don't think anybody has reported on it yet on YouTube, but they're being held without bail.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I saw that
They have not been granted bail.
Yeah, which is great.
I'm so happy that they have not been granted bail because I think Montel Williams is right. If you would do this one time and you would and you honestly feel that it is perfectly fine to torture somebody, and then you feel so confident in that act that you would broadcast it to Facebook, there's no reason why you wouldn't do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. And
I think part of it is the political climate that has been created by the most extreme parts of Black Lives Matter, that they thought that this would be okay. But he's right. It takes a special kind of horrible person, whether you're a Black nationalist or not, to do something like this.
I mean, and the thing that we have to be careful about, though, is we can say that Black Lives Matter, the rhetoric by the worst parts of Black Lives Matter did in some way inspire some of this happening. But, it goes both ways, too. If you make too much of a case for that, then you also can make the case that this has something to do with the election. You can make the case for really any of it. I think it's the total of all of it together.
Yeah. It's a very complicated situation.
It is, and I would like to be able to say with absolute confidence that it was more one than the other. But if I'm going to be completely honest with myself, to be as objective as possible, I can't legitimately say that with all conviction. I can't.
Right.
I'd like to. That'd be great. But I can't.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's rough. Oh,
yeah,
Christ.
It is.
All right. Let's do this. Bracing for impact.
You point the finger at the U.S. government and the system.
Exactly. And to anyone that wants to, put down these 4 African teenagers or talk shit about these 4 African teenagers, because I see a lot of Black people talking shit about these 4 African teenagers, saying, oh, why they're doing this, why they're doing that, these are not people that represent us, and all this other kind of stuff. Sorry. What we should really be saying is, where are their leaders? Where are their leaders? Where are the African teenagers and African people who are upset and sick and tired of seeing our people being murdered every day? Where are our leaders? They were assassinated by the U.S. government. Fred Hampton, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, all of these are people that were assassinated. Huey P. Newton, assassinated. The assassination attempt of Assata Shakur that pushed her into...
Not one of those fucking people would advocate for what Gazi's talking about. They would never excuse this type of behavior.
It's so much.
I know.
I can't, what? Is all I have to say.
And then her African people as a leader, as an African fierce woman, liberation leader, okay? That is who is guilty of us not having any direction. So the anger is just. Them attacking this random white man, yeah, there's contradictions in that, but the reason why that contradiction is there because there is no African revolutionary leadership that is present in the faces of these young Africans in Chicago because they murdered Fred Hampton. They murdered the leaders of the Black Panther Party. They murdered revolutionary leaders that could have shown these Africans the way to build Black power. But instead they're unleashing their anger in different ways. But guess what I have to say about those 4 Africans that did that to that white man? I'd rather see a white man in that tub than an African woman. I'd rather see a white man in that tub than an African man.
And that's why you're racist.
Right. I'd rather... nobody have that happen to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Ever. If somebody was to ask me, what race would you rather have, and it wasn't a tub, it was the corner of the room.
Right,
fucking tard. I doubt he even really watched the video. I
Probably
seriously
not.
doubt. That would require him to open himself up to possibly feeling something for a toilet seat complexion individual.
A guava, y'all.
A guava, y'all. So I just doubt it. But I mean, if somebody was to hold a gun to my head and say who would you rather see, which race in the corner, blah 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 blah, I don't know if I could answer that.
Well, I wouldn't know how to answer that. What do you mean?
Well, if there's a gun to my head, I'd just make something up.
Right.
But
I would rather see nobody there.
Yeah.
Jesus.
That would be better. Oh my
right?
God.
It wouldn't be better if it was somebody else. It would be better if it didn't happen.
Right. I wonder if Gazi is just completely incapable of empathy. I don't know. I mean, this is the guy. This is the guy who celebrated the black guy killing those cops in Dallas.
Yeah.
He's like, he's a hero. He's a hero for the African peoples. I'm like, what the fuck?
I know.
What?
Yeah.
Super green.
With the poor working class of Africans in Chicago, your aim is getting better. That's a message from the chairman. The chairman says, the chairman O'Malley Yeshitela, you're a real leader for African liberation. They murdered a lot of us, but they didn't murder our true leader, Chairman O'Malley Yeshitela. And he says, a message to the...
General Wakazashi Nutella? I don't know, whatever.
I think so.
Poor working class African people in Chicago. He says, your aim is getting better. Now, if you want to perfect that aim, you want to come to our BIB Black is Back convention on the 14th, which will be in D.C., and you can go to blackisbackcoalition.org to learn more about that. Jesse, can you tell them how every white person is connected to the state? Because some people are saying this is an innocent white man, and he wasn't a police officer.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the history of white people in this country, we carried out the murder, the lynchings of African people before...
We?
Yeah, speak for yourself.
Did Jesse lynch black people?
Right, is Jesse admitting to lynching right now?
Yeah, shouldn't he be in jail?
Somebody call the cops, because I think we need to lock up Jesse. I think Jesse has been up to some shady shit.
Gazi is standing shoulder to shoulder with an admitted lyncher. I mean, come on,
right?
Man. Jesus Christ. Fuck.
The police. Mm-hmm. The police weren't even necessary. For over 100 years, thousands of African bodies hanging from trees at the hands of white people. Mm-hmm. Regular white people. Poor, working class, ordinary, run-of-the-mill white people. We did that.
No.
Now, some of the worst examples of poor white people lynching black people, I think probably one of the most egregious examples is the draft riots in New York City. Mm-hmm. And you can see kind of like a pretty reasonably accurate historical representation in the movie Gangs in New York, and it was fucked, dude. It was really fucked, you know. But there's an important thing to keep in mind when you're talking about this type of thing is that was over 100 goddamn years ago. Mm-hmm. Nobody alive today, I hope, has lynched a black person and is not in jail.
Right.
Oh my God.
Except for Jesse. Jesse's lynched a black person, apparently.
Yeah, apparently Jesse lynched a bunch of black people. He said thousands, so I guess he's just this serial lyncher. We must stop Jesse.
Yeah, #stop Jesse.
Yeah, #stop Jesse. House cracker. Oh.
Not only did we function as the state because we sat on their backs, we got rich off their suffering and their labor and their resources, but once the police was eventually formed, we have been complicit.
Talent.
We have been totally complicit. and in unity with what the police
donating millions of dollars to police officers that murder African children.
Exactly.
You think that goes unnoticed? You think we're just going to sit back and let that happen? No. And if you want to talk,
what the fuck are you going to do? I don't even know what he's talking about. I have no idea what he's talking about. And what is Gazi going to do? Gazi just gets on YouTube and runs his mouth. He talks about all these people who are heroes, who do all these revolutionary acts of violence. He doesn't do anything. Oh my God. He's such an edgelord.
Right. Yeah. Definitely.
I know. Just breathe for a second. This is honestly, this is making my blood pressure just skyrocket right now.
I know. Like, you think...
God.
Talk about kidnapping and torture. You need to talk about Home Square, which is a secret undercover prison in the middle of Chicago that is a torture camp. And that when people go in there, they do not
What did he just say?
Tell them about Home Square.
What, something square? What
Home Square? No.
Home Square.
Home Square. Are you looking it up?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Activists. Okay, so it says activists have blocked off the entrance to Chicago Police Department's Home Square facility.
Okay.
I think. Oh, it's a detention facility.
Okay.
It looks like.
So apparently it's a concentration camp. I didn't know
Right. I think it's a jail or something.
Jesus Christ.
Secret undercover prison in the middle of Chicago that
it's
is
not
a
very
torture
secret.
camp, and that when people go in there, they do not come out. Tell them about Homan Square, Jesse.
Homan Square is an unmarked warehouse in Chicago that the Chicago police have kidnapped and disappeared 6,000 African people over the past 5 years.
Citation.
Does this video have citations?
I don't think so. I doubt it. I highly doubt it. Let's see. Oh, it sure does. It has apsp.uhuru.org and uhurusolidarity.org. Oh, okay. I'm sure all the details are there.
I'm convinced now.
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Here, I'm gonna try to see if I can actually find this.
All right. Do you want me to hold on or just keep going?
Chicago police Okay, this says Chicago police disappeared over 7,000 people to notorious Homan Square.
What's the website URL for that?
Here.
At the top.
Send it to you. Skype.
Okay. I gotta see this.
I know. This is very strange.
Let's see. commondreams.org. Well, I'm very familiar with commondreams.org. Let's take a look at this fucking thing.
It's just the first thing that popped up. So nothing credible or that I can see has...
Nearly 6,000 secretly imprisoned and interrogated secret interrogation facility were black. When was this written? October 19, 2015. At secret interrogation warehouse, now known publicly as Homan Square, which is proportionally more than double the city's black population, and 82% of the 7,185 total individuals sent to the facility. Only 68 people, less than 1%, held, were allowed access to lawyers to tell others where they were. As Common Dreams previously reported. Okay, so apparently this commondreams.org website, their citation is commondreams.org.
Okay.
They're disappeared at that point. Disappeared. Can
What
they
does
give
that
us
mean?
that they never come back?
Disappeared in that context is not a verb, I don't think.
In fact, the majority of those sent to the facility were arrested for drug charges rather than violent crime. Many others were never charged. There's not one name, one woman identified as Siobhan said she was kept for 8 to 10 hours at Homan Square over theft allegations, where she was questioned in a cage, denied access to a lawyer until she went to central booking after kidnapping. She obviously wasn't disappeared because she's back. I mean, I don't really understand. Like, the thing is, if there was some secret detainment center by the Chicago police, then obviously I wanted to investigate it and made sure that that's not actually the case. Or if they're operating in really shitty conditions, then obviously I wanted, investigate it to make sure they're not abusing people. But you gotta have some goddamn evidence if you're gonna be claiming that they're
define cage.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Some lock-in cells at like county jails look like cages.
Yeah, but
people are saying they're doing the human centipede trials in the Homan Square. One long gastrointestinal tract. Oh my god. All right, fuck it.
Well, that was a rabbit hole.
Warehouse.
Where is Obama coming up and being sick and tired about that? Why is Obama making statements about that? What about the African teenager that was molested and raped with a wire hanger by a white man and on December 19th was just let out with a plea bargain?
That was pretty fucked up.
What about him?
That was
what
pretty
about that?
Fucked up.
You want to talk about torture? You want to talk about the white man in New York?
Because a lot of people were commenting about it in my comment sections on both of my videos, I looked into it a lot. And unfortunately, this is what happens when you get plea bargains, honestly. And plea bargains can take someone who has murdered people and give them a slap on the wrist.
Right. Yeah.
Which is... Yeah.
I genuinely,
screwed.
I genuinely disagree with that person being able to be even offered that plea bargain, because that was really horrific.
I agree too. And the other thing that we don't know is because the other reason why we don't know a whole lot about it is because the other kids were teenagers and they were charged as juveniles, so we're legally not allowed to have information on what happened to them.
Right.
So it's possible that they were not let off easy, but we just don't know because they were children. So, and they have that right to privacy as a minor.
It's pretty shitty too. The other part about that I think is really shitty is that probably the main determining factor that the Chicago kidnapping and that one is not as reported is simply because one was broadcast live on Facebook.
Yeah, because we don't have video of the other one.
Right. And if it was broadcast live on Facebook, oh my God.
Yeah, and the other thing that looking into that case, the other thing that did not help it at all was the fact that before the conviction, or before they even went to trial for that case, the family had already filed a $10 billion lawsuit. Mm-hmm. So all the details of the case were spread around way before it even went to trial. So that didn't help the accuser's story.
Right. Yeah. Hang on. I guess there are some people being a little ridiculous in the comment or in the chat right now. So I'm gonna set Liberal Lunacy and a couple other people as moderators just in case people get out of hand.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least nobody's spamming those stupid fucking banners. I hate that shit.
Oh my God, I know. So annoying.
Alright, fuck it. Alright, let's go.
In the 90s, who kidnapped African women, sex workers, put them in his basement, and he would kill one of them, blend them up, and feed them to each other. You want to talk about torture? You want to talk about torture? So I'm sorry, but white people, until you overturn
what case are they talking about?
You will never be seen as human.
I don't know. I don't know which case he's talking about. I have no idea.
Where people were blended up and fed to each other?
Right.
What?
I don't know.
I mean, I'm a little obsessed with true crime, like stories. So I feel like maybe I would have heard about that.
Right? Yeah. No, I've never heard of that. That would make one hell of a Law and Order episode. That's for sure.
Right. The one thing that drives me nuts about this too is that people bring up a bunch of other cases and they're like, well, this and this and this and this. It's like, it doesn't make this one case less awful.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't even make a dent in it. Every case should be handled like individually on its own.
Yeah, and if that in this case doesn't make those cases less awful, and it's not a freaking competition at all.
Hang on one second. Bye-bye. Okay. Yeah. Joking about my kid dying is not very funny, guys. Thanks.
Oh, that's fucked.
People on the internet are fucking edgelords.
I know.
Fudging edgelords, right? Hi. You're cute. Mwah. He's gonna help keep me sane.
You will never be treated as human until you free African and colonized people around the world. You want to talk about the innocence of white mentally ill people? How about those innocent white mentally ill men that sign up to join the military, go into Afghanistan, murder children, rape children, cut their heads off, take pictures of them raping children and women? What about those innocent mentally ill white men? What about those mentally ill white men in the military that raped an African woman who was also in the military, poured acid on her vagina, and stuffed her into a barrel? You want to talk about mentally illness?
Oh man, I don't know.
Citation, please.
Citation, please. And if that's the case, then they should be prosecuted.
Of course. But I would like, with all these cases that they are citing as evidence of... Yeah, I would like to be able to see it because this is off the wall psychopath shit.
Yeah. This is wild.
This is some horror gore porn movie level shit.
Yeah. That's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
Oh,
this is nuts. I would really like to see those cases, if that's true.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to sit here and say that that's impossible. I mean, I'm sure it is.
Well, I've definitely seen, several news stories and cases coming out and from, different barbaric things that happen in war zones. U.S. military have committed atrocities before in the past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The best you can hope for is that those people get prosecuted. They get dealt with appropriately, But that's not to be like, well, now it's our turn and we're going to go torture some mentally handicapped guy.
No.
No. What? You're talking about inhuman things, then you say something completely inhuman. What are you even talking about?
I know. Oof.
You're the best. You're the best. All right, there you go. Go watch your Minecraft videos. Oh my gosh, there you go. Good boy.
So cute.
Mm-hmm.
White people, the innocence of mental illness. White people are not innocent in this. I don't care if you're a man, a woman, a transgender, a bigender, a bisexual, a homosexual. If you got 3 legs, 4 legs, 5 legs, or no legs, you are a colonizer and you benefit off of the backs of African and colonized people.
That's right, Jesse.
You gentrify our
yeah, Jesse. Oh, yeah.
Like,
we are.
Yeah. It's like, don't hurt yourself, okay? Calm down. We believe that you're crazy.
Oh man, I mean, it's the same. It's the same thing as anything. Like, Jesus, I can't even fucking talk right now. Oh my god, this is so terrible. So if you are of English ancestry, can you then say that you and your life benefits off of the backs of, I don't know, anybody that the English oppressed? Are you going to bring up the historical connotations of the Norman invasion, and that's, making a case for why some people are oppressed and some people aren't? Like, the thing is, when injustices happen, like did happen with slavery, West African slave trade and colonization of America and that sort of thing, it's one thing to point out that it happened. And it's another thing, which is still totally fine, to understand that there might have been social inequities that were bred from that. That's fine. But to then try and hold on to it as some sort of currency to try and push a political narrative is inhuman. You're not focusing on the problems that a person has. As a person, you're instead becoming an ideologue and trying to, like, spout off some shit to either punish or to benefit from. This is...
Yeah. Because all we can do is acknowledge that those things happened and just say, yeah, we shouldn't do that again because it's awful.
Let's not do that again. And if we can help, figure out a better way of equity, fine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But
the other problem, I guess, with the social justice is that, they say they want equality, not Gazi, but people say we want equality, but what they really mean is equity, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So, and you can't do that without being oppressive and authoritarian.
Yep, exactly.
And the only way to do it, because, I see like these really young people at my college, they're socialists and they're all into it because they think that it's going to make everybody equally rich, but it's going to make everybody equally poor.
Right.
Except for the ruling class. You're going to have the ruling class and then everybody else in breadlines.
Right.
And so they've got this pipe dream of equity, and it's like, it's not going to happen.
So, socialism is an interesting thing, too, because you have people who want socialism as a basic format for our economic model. And it doesn't work. It's never really worked. But there is also it's important to point out that we have socialist civic programs, that, like,
we do.
They're in place.
Police officers, firefighters, it's all socialist. So socialist isn't necessarily a dirty word.
No. It just needs to be applied in a way that makes sense. And if it doesn't work after you've applied it, then to not hang on to it. People like to paint, types of political theory and economic theory as good or bad, and it's a stupid way to fucking look at it. It's collectivist.
Because the interesting thing, and we went over this in my first sociology class, and we talked about socialism, and we talked about other economic things, and he was like, so you all live in a communist system because you live in families.
Yeah.
And if you have parents who pay for your stuff, it's like, so we all live in like these little mini communes. And then we talked about how when the hippies tried to spread it out and they tried to go off and live on their own little communes, it all just falls apart because there are people who don't work, and so it's really interesting. And there's just places where it's going to work and places where it's not going to work.
Oh, sure. You really, I mean, for any kind of communistic living situation, you really have to, it can't just be a universal applied theory. There's still hippie communes out here around Eugene that have been around for decades and decades, but that's because the people who specifically live and operate within those understand it and are so dedicated to it that they actually manage to make it work. You could never apply that on a broad scale to all people. It would never fucking work.
Yeah, because people, whether you like it or not, have their own ideas. So unless you're into it, if you had 300 million people who were super into communism and they were all excited about it and they really wanted to do it, you could do it.
Sure.
But
I will say North Vietnam after the dust settled with the war, North Vietnam was actually, well, I guess then it would be all of Vietnam. Was pretty successful with communism. I think they're pretty much like one of the only countries that managed to maintain true communistic state for a while. I don't think they are really anymore. I think they're more like a capitalist communist sort of mishmash hybrid, which pretty much everything is now in what used to be communism.
That's kind of what happened with China.
Yep, that's what happened in China.
A very strange. It's really interesting. It's very strange, but like oppressive economic systems just, they don't work.
Usually they don't. Yeah, they definitely are not going to work if you also want to engage in absolutist freedom of speech.
Right.
Nope.
No.
Individuality is not good for communism.
No.
Neighborhoods, you push your poor and mentally ill white people into our neighborhoods, and you think they're not going to get the brunt of our aggression, the brunt of our anger, while you are colonizing and gentrifying our neighborhoods, making the price of food.
So are we talking about gentrification now?
We can't even live in our own neighborhoods. That's who this white man was in the south side of Chicago.
Oh my goodness.
Jesse, can you tell them about the facts of the matter of all the things that are going on in Chicago and around the world that is torture of African people, that Barack Obama did not come up and say he is despicable?
Okay, so before Jesse starts talking,
can
we just touch on gentrification real quick?
Sure.
So I've got family that lives in the Palm Beach area of Florida, and West Palm Beach used to be, horrible crime rates, all that kind of stuff. And it has since been gentrified, if you will. And now you can live there, and now you can go there. And now they've got crazy sand sculptures, and it's a huge place for tourism, and it's a huge source of revenue for that county. And, like, I get it, because you displace a lot of poor people.
Sure.
But at the same time, you open up a lot of revenue, and it's a mixed bag.
Yeah, it's a mixed bag. I mean, so a good example is I for the longest time was living in a, like, the worst, quote unquote, worst neighborhood in my city, and it's a very eclectic place. A lot of like artistic minded people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. They started gentrifying it quite a bit, and the main reason why they did is that enterprising people found that they could get large industrial buildings for very cheap compared to anywhere else in the city. Next thing you know, now it's like the brewery district. There's breweries everywhere. There's fancy restaurants. There's this, there's that, the other thing. The problem is that there is still nowhere for the meth addicts, the homeless, and the mentally ill for them to go So
Right.
they cluster in these super groups underneath bridges and like this type of
Mm-hmm.
thing. And now the crime is still a huge problem. The drugs are still a huge problem. But in that neighborhood where before it was an affordable place to live, now nobody can
Right.
afford it because all of these trendy yuppie style people want to move because, oh, it's just so urban down here. Oh, I just love it. It's so eclectic and eccentric.
Yeah, and that's the exact same thing. So right where downtown West Palm is, it's beautiful. You've got these huge city centers, these nice restaurants, cute little boutiques, and
Yeah.
you can see you can see Trump, like, from my cousin's apartment building. The roof is fucking ridiculous. I mean, they've got like 3 pools. They've got these like crazy party areas with bars, and you can see Trump Tower from there, the Trump Tower that's in West Palm. You can see like blue flashing lights, because we were actually in West Palm when Trump was at his Palm Beach house. You can see like the flashing police lights where Trump is. I mean, and the Intercoastal's right there, and then right across from the Intercoastal is, you can actually see like the view of Palm Beach and the Breakers Hotel.
Sure.
So all that stuff is right there, and so it's a really nice place, but at the same time you displace all these people, and there's still nowhere for them to go.
Right. The thing that's important, though, is that it's not a racialized component. It's a component of it's a component of people being poor, and
yeah, it's a class component.
Yeah, it's a class component. Now, the really shitty part about it is that, because of the basic inequality in income levels between whites and blacks, which is a real fucking thing, whether people want to like shake their no, it's not. Yeah, it is. It is. And
it is.
And we can debate like the reasons for it until we're blue in the fucking face, but it doesn't matter. Is that disproportionately per percentage of the population, black people are more likely to be poor. Just how it is. So when you have these class inequalities, of course, by percentage, it's going to affect black people more. Is that fair? No. But if we were to then try and arbitrarily help in one way or the other, you have to do it in such a way that in and of itself would not necessarily be racist. The best thing that you could possibly do is to try and support infrastructure building, better schools and better public safety, that sort of thing. That's all you can fucking do. Yeah. To arbitrarily just start doing reparations would just be
right.
It would just be the same goddamn thing.
Because whether you like it or not, no matter what happens, it's going to take years for it to change.
A long time. Long time.
A long time.
Yeah.
Like, no matter, so, if you're for school choice, whatever you're for, if you're, whatever the infrastructure, all that kind of stuff, even if you do that tomorrow, even if you implement that tomorrow, it's going to be 10, 20 years before you really see a big shift.
Exactly. All right, let's do this.
To do anything about it. It's still going to overturn, but what is the torture that he's doing to African and colonized people every day? Bombing them, sending drones on them, poisoning their water supplies. Because what happened in Flint, Michigan, they practice that on Africa. They practice that in the Middle East, okay?
Hrough, yes. I mean, I would recommend people look up the name John Burge. John Burge was a Chicago police commander who personally oversaw the torture of over 200 African people
John
between 1972 and 1991, including a 13-year-old named Marcus Wiggins. Nobody knows the name of Marcus Wiggins, but everybody in this country has seen this video of this white guy in the bathtub.
Marcus Wiggins, this happened, 2 decades ago, and you're complaining because nobody knows about something horrible that happened to somebody 2 decades ago, as opposed to somebody who literally broadcasted live over the internet them torturing a disabled person.
Right.
What?
And then also him being like a hrough, yes. Like, that was the most unnatural thing I've ever seen a white person do.
Oh my god.
Oh. This is so bad.
Torture that's happening. And we also just want to mention the conditions of the African working class in Chicago, that the recent statistics say about 274,000 people, 10% of the city's population, lives at less than half of the federal poverty line, which means that their annual income is total of $5,885 per individual, and with African families earning $12,000 per family.
Okay.
So this is the deep poverty, colonial poverty, that African people are forced into
colonial
pushed up against the
poverty
wall, and tortured, brutalized.
There's a problem with colonial poverty. Why do they use the term colonial?
This is not colonial America anymore.
No.
And it's just not. Also,
we never colonized Africa. Black people weren't here and then white people came and colonized them. Like, that doesn't make any sense at all. Unless they're trying to advocate for Native Americans, but I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either. The other issue, I guess, with this is that, you can read out poverty statistics and everything, but these are people who have enough money to dye their hair stupid colors, and they have enough money to have phones to broadcast this live to Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
Not saying they're not, poor, but they're not so impoverished that they can't have, amenities like that.
Yeah. I mean, like, the income inequality, like I said before, the income inequality is shitty. It's not, it's unfortunate that it happens the way that it does. But what exactly is the point of trying to bring this up? That because they were poor, they were pushed to torture? Like if somebody's hungry and they're poor and they steal, I actually can have some compassion for that. I don't like thieves. Don't like thieves. But I can have compassion in my heart about it because, everybody gotta eat. Everybody gotta eat.
Right.
But there's no basic human need to torture.
Right, yeah. There's nothing there that justifies that.
Fucking dumbasses.
I know.
Arrested, attacked, and it's only natural that a colonized African community would lash out, would strike back at someone.
This is political, I see.
A white person. And because of our history of complicity, until us white people turn our backs on the state, break our allegiance to the state, and stand for white solidarity with black power, and get under the leadership of the African liberation movement that's fighting to end this shit altogether, then we are the state. And we're fair targets when African people rise up and resist. So hrough solidarity movement is the solution. That's where every white person who wants to be on the right side of
this is a recruitment video. This is a fucking recruitment video.
So if a bunch of black people were to kidnap and torture Housecracker here, do you think he'd be okay with that?
I think he would be apologizing while they sliced him up.
Because to say it's only natural that they would torture somebody.
Yeah.
I mean, not only is it racist towards white people, but it's wildly racist towards black people.
They're basically saying, like, oh god, this is fucking killing me. What I'm getting from this is that because we have not turned our back on the state, and because we have not disassociated ourselves from what they perceive as the colonized people's mentality, then this is perfectly okay. And that the way to prevent disabled people from being tortured is that people need to join the hrough solidarity movement. Like, this legitimately reads to me like an extremist video, an extremist recruitment video. This is so insane. This is legitimately so insane. You make an argument and then you end with, but the solution is this path that we have for you.
Right, and he's like, we should stand in solidarity with the African Revolution. And it's like, what?
Yeah.
So the solution is to completely flip the perceived situation on its head. And oppress white people.
You know what this shit reminds me of? This shit reminds me of, like, the radio broadcast that they played getting people riled up at the beginning of Hotel Rwanda.
Yeah.
It really does. It's freaky.
It is freaky. It's very cultish, too.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, look at these two. They don't look like they're in a cult?
They totally do. I mean, look at him. And Gazi's sitting there waiting to just slap the shit out of this poor guy.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, shame on any African leader who is, shaming these African teenagers.
Here we go.
Who is criticizing these African teenagers, who is talking shit on these African teenagers, who's talking ill on these African teenagers. Shame on you, because you don't understand the true colonial relationship that African people have with white people. Shame on you.
God.
You are not allowed African people, so shut your fucking mouth.
I would love to see Housecracker go up to the... Have you ever met that guy T in person?
Not in person, no. He's
tall as hell. I would love to see Housecracker go straight up to that guy T and say that to him.
Shit, man.
I really want Housecracker to go up to actual black people and tell them straight up, how dare you defend this poor white guy, and how dare you shame these 4 young Africans. I would love to see that. I hope he brings a camera.
All right, cat. Jesus Christ. This cat is driving me crazy. Hang on. Here, fine. Go. Get out of here.
Hi, guys.
Oh, my God. Stupid cat. Yeah, man, I love that guy, T. And when he gets mad, dude, oh, my God.
I know. It's great.
Shit. It's amazing. Yeah. He's got some fire, man. I love it. It's so cool.
Yeah. I really want to see Housecracker go tell that to an actual black person to their face.
Yeah.
I dare you to go talk down to them and tell them that they don't understand how they're being colonized.
All right, here we go. Here's Gazi's shit list.
Mouth up, Black Lives Matter. Shut your fucking mouth up. Jesse Jackson, shut your fucking mouth up. Al Sharpton, shut your fucking mouth up. D-Ray McKesson, and you 3 black girls that found Black Lives Matter, shut your fucking mouth up. You ain't never spoke for motherfucking black people, and that's why you jump in at the helm to talk shit about these 4 poor working class people that did this. Those same 4 poor working class people, those same poor working class African people that did this to this white man. Them the ones that's going to be on the front lines of the revolution. Them the ones that were in...
No, they ain't. They going to be in jail. They're going to be in jail. And working class, 2 of them were in high school.
You're right.
These are gangbangers. They weren't paying taxes.
Yeah.
What the... Oh, my God.
And just because... Even if they were working class, doesn't excuse shit.
Yeah.
You just because of the color of your skin or your social class, you're not excused if you commit a horrendous act. There's no good reason to torture anybody.
No, never. There's never a good reason to torture anybody.
Ferguson busting the heads of the pigs and cops. Those are the ones that gave you the platform to build Black Lives Matter and have the millions, to get hundreds of millions of dollars from Ford Foundation. That's who you're talking ill will against. So you can shut the fuck up. The people we should be ashamed of is the ones that are making hundreds of millions of dollars off of the oppression of African people, living in mansions and condos in Manhattan. Yeah, know where you live too, heifer. Living in all these wealthy places in D.C. and Virginia. Okay, it's shame on you. It's not shame on them. Okay, and now you have this illegitimate government that is going to sentence them to years, maybe a life in prison. A life in prison for doing what? So. Scratching up some white man, putting him in a tub for a little bit and putting him on live and then releasing him. At least he's alive.
He escaped. Wow. He fucking escaped. We have no idea what they were going to do to this guy. No clue.
Yeah,
he escaped. And the only reason he escaped is because they got all fucking crazy and went downstairs due to a noise complaint and tried to mess with their neighbors. It's the only reason he's alive. Like, we don't know if they were planning, because I mean, like, oh my God.
They cut off a piece of his scalp. They didn't cut him up a little bit. They held him. And honestly, we don't know what happened. Because out of 24 to 48 hours, we only know what they broadcasted to Facebook. Who the fuck knows what they were doing to him when it wasn't live on Facebook?
Yeah. I mean, who knows? I honestly, I am a bit mad, though. I am a bit mad because the coat hanger one, that person got off. So by comparison, like I am still really mad about that person managed to get a plea deal. But like if we're taking them on their own merits, each one individually on their own merits, like this is still torture. This is still absolutely torture.
Yeah, it is.
God, I fucking hate Gazi.
The fact that Gazi is saying, "Oh, you're lucky you're alive." I mean, yeah, he is, but not for the same reason that Gazi is saying it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's saying like, "You better be thankful that these people didn't kill you." Like, are you serious?
Right. Jesus
are you
Christ.
advocating for, like, are you saying that next time they do it, they should kill them faster?
I don't know.
That's what it sounds like.
I mean, and he is actually advocating violence. He has been advocating violence for the longest time. Like, you know, it's so crazy. He advocates for violence against police and like all this sort of thing. I want to know, when are you going to man up, Gazi, and actually go and do any of these things that you tell people that they should do? When are you going to go out and get revolutionary and do a revolutionary act so you can go to prison and we can stop getting these stupid videos? Jesus.
Yeah. At least he's alive.
He's fucking nodding in the back.
Thousands and millions of African people that can't say the same. So you want to talk about torture? You want to talk about torture? Talk about my uncle who was in prison for 11 years. And when he came out, he didn't even survive 6 months because of the mental illness and mental abuse that this white nationalist imperialist government put on him. And he committed suicide. You want to talk about torture?
Why was your uncle in prison for 11 years?
Right. Like, I don't want to sound awful, but
what did he do? Why did your uncle go to prison for 11 years? I'm really curious. I'm so curious.
I don't know.
Oh my god.
Long video, because I know y'all can't handle long videos. So I want this video to be shareable. So we're going to end it right here. I just want to say a hrough, and to all my African people that are struggling to get on the right side of the question, go to apsp.hrough.org and sign up and join the party. Click join, read about the party at apsp.hrough.org. Join the revolution. Make joining the revolution your New Year's resolution. And if you are white and struggling to be on the right side of the question,
hrough.solidarity.org. Join, pay reparations to Africa.
Yes.
Shit.
There's a site you can go to actually pay reparations. That's amazing.
Oh, I know. It's pretty incredible. Hang on a second. Let me see. There he is. I'm calling him.
Calling him? There's like a number to call him?
No, I'm calling that guy T.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
I was like, you can call Jesse? I was so excited.
No, I just saw that he was in the chat. I was going to see if he wanted to hop in and get a few licks in on Gazi. Maybe? You going to answer that guy, T? Oh, well, maybe next time. Oh, shit.
What's up, guys?
What's up, man? How you doing?
Hey.
Pretty good.
Yeah? Jesus. You enjoying the shit show of Gazi making excuses for the torture of white people?
I've only seen this last clip you guys played, and him talking about his uncle, I guess, who you know needs to be freed. Obviously, well, should have been freed after he killed himself.
And
I'm just looking at this soulless, you know, puppet in the background. I mean,
what was your favorite nickname for him? Because we were
for who?
For
Black Hitler?
No, for Jesse. We were trying to figure out a good
Gazi?
name for him. No, Jesse.
Oh.
Some people called him Housecracker. Thought that one was pretty good. Shit, there's a bunch of.
I really like Uncle Tim. Jack told me about Uncle Tim, and I was like, I like that one.
Yeah, Uncle Tim is good. Uncle Timothy.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. But yeah, I don't know, man. It blows my mind every time Gazi comes on and he like straight up makes a call for violence. I can't even wrap my head around it.
You've donated to him before, right?
What?
You've donated to him before, right? To pay your reparations?
Oh, well, I donated my time. And you know, with the amount of suffering that I had to go through every time I do, I think I've paid in full at this point. Jesus Christ!
Oh God, this is.
Oh man, what's his ratio on his video? Did he disable like likes and dislikes and stuff?
Oh no, he didn't disable it this time. It's actually as of when we started playing it, it's 142 likes to 782 dislikes.
Oh, okay, and this is a new release.
Yeah, this came out this morning.
Yeah. God,
good old Gazi.
It's just you know you gotta think the point to where these people can rationalize thinking like this. It's like,
yeah, you know what's even crazier. So Cynthia G came out with a video about it yesterday. She didn't even know like half of what was actually going on with it, and she actually claimed that this entire thing was a fucking false flag. Like,
CIA psyop.
Yeah, CIA. I think there was actually people in the comment section saying like maybe inappropriate for some users. Yeah, this video is inappropriate for anybody with a brain. Jesus Christ. But yeah, no, there's all sorts of like this is like Alex Jones level kind of stuff coming out of Cynthia, and then you have like Black Hitler. Black Hitler honestly sounds like the worst storm fag I've ever heard in my life.
Yeah, he does.
It's so crazy. I don't know, man. Everything's fucking nuts. But I don't know. I'm kind of optimistic at this point though, because even like all the usual suspects, so like crazy ass race baiters like DeRay and shit. They've been coming out and everybody's pretty much singing the same tune that this is just completely fucked up. So I'm kind of optimistic.
Yeah, it's definitely one way to look at some benefits coming out of this fucking tragedy, that at least people are waking up to the just to the mindset that's being pushed by these people. And
yeah, it's kind of like, maybe sometimes what you really need at the end of the day is something so fucking bad that nobody can really argue that it's an okay thing to fucking do. So I don't know. I'm hopeful. We'll see.
I mean, that's why they can't do it here. They can only argue that there have been worse things, like 400 years of slavery. So, let's focus on that.
Yeah. I'm still trying to organize at some point, me and some black guy, we're going to have a race war to show people how to really do it. And we're just going to have a chug off. I'm really fucking excited about it. I think it'll be great. Well, shit. So that's been I'm kind of saying we should probably call it here. I can't watch any more Gazi, and I can't handle it anymore.
No, I gotcha.
And I gotta like chill out a little bit because I gotta watch Hidden Colors again tonight with Tyler Preston. So
oh god,
I know, dude. I know.
You just like abusing yourself, huh?
Oh man, dude, it's so good though. We have so much fun. Maybe we should try and get you on one of those sometime. But yeah, me, Tyler Preston, Patty Politics, Prince Adu, we got Skepo on once, and it's painful as hell, but we just have so much fun. It's just so good. A pain shared is a pain appreciated. But I'd like to say thank you to Some Dumb American. Her channel link is in the description below, and of course that guy T for picking up randomly when we called you in the middle of a stream.
No problem. And for anybody in the chat worrying about if Jeff doxed me, no, he didn't. My name's public already, so it's okay.
Yeah. I panicked about that for a second, then I remembered that actually it is actually public. So, yeah. All right, cool.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Jeff.
Goodbye, guys. Killing the stream. If I can remember where it's at, there it is. All right, bye, guys. Good morning.